the last three shlokas of chapter 8 we will be discussing today. In the previous shloka, two shlokas, two gatis, margas, paths were discussed. One was called Shukla Gati, the other is called Krishna Gati, or Shukla Marga, or Krishna Marga, otherwise Devayanam or Pitriyanam. So here, who are eligible to travel in these two routes? Not everybody can travel. So he discussed that there are two people who do saguna dhyanam. Sakuna, sakama karyam. Sakama karyam means we worship to get some benefit. For example, I pray to God that I want to achieve some goal, ultimate some desire to be fulfilled. For that I go. That is sakama bhaktan, sakama bhaktan. The other one is nishkama bhaktan. He also goes to the temple and he says, I don't want anything from this world. I want you only. The former one is called a karmi. The second one is called a upasaka. Because his upasaka means he wants only Bhagavan, nobody else. And the first fellow says, I want to achieve something and I will use Bhagavan as a tool. But there, what he does is, he does not violate any dharma. All his activities are based on dharmic activities. I mean, no cheating, no forgery. Whatever is legitimately available to him, he will earn that method, that way. And he performs homa, puja, parayanam, all these things he does. So he has got enough of punya by all his legitimate activities. And for him, the route is Shukla Gati. Shukla Gati means he will go to Brahma Loka. He will go to Sorga Loka because he has got punyam. So he will go to Sorga Loka. The second person is, the first one is doing all his activities through his body and speech, walk, parayanam. But he is not using the mind. The second man is using the mind. That is upasana. Upasana means dhyanam. So because of dhyanam, he has a certain amount of vairagyam also, dispassion. And he wants only Bhagavan. He is not interested in any worldly activities. Such a person goes to Brahma Loka. So the two people who are going is, one is a karmi, the other is upasaka. So we are not talking about a jnani here. Upasaka will be eligible to take up jnana yoga because he will be matured enough to, eligibility is already there. So similar to. So we have two gatis. what happens to them after death. So this is the analysis here. What happens to them after death? Now I'm quoting a mantra in the Ishavasya Upanishad. He says, "O Agni, lead us on a good path. Let me recollect all the pure actions I have done from the world of fire," because he is praying to fire. The jiva is handed over to the world of effulgence, Agni Jyoti. Then comes successfully the Devata of daytime, Ahaha, and the Devata of the Shukla Paksha, waxing moon. Then comes the Uttarayana Devata, and after that, the Samvatsara Devata. Thus the jiva reaches the Devaloka. After reaching Devaloka, from there it travels to Vayuloka, Aditya Loka, Chandraloka, Vidyut Loka, Varuna Loka, and Indra Loka. Finally, it reaches the Prajapati Loka, the world of Brahma. There, the jiva gets direct instruction from Brahma, and in this way, the jiva realizes the truth and attains illumination. This is the path of Devayana, and this is also called Krama Mukti, gradual liberation. So that means people should take up upasana now itself. So once we do upasana, that is upasana on Bhagavan, Lord, not in material things. For them, after death, the gati will be that he will get Krama Mukti and he will reach Brahmaloka. And from Brahmaloka, there he will be given Brahma will teach him what is Jnana Yoga, and he gets liberation from there. There is no more rebirth. That is the path of non-return. One-way ticket only. He buys one-way ticket, goes there because he has no return ticket. And if he has to get a return ticket, he has to have Pava Punyam. Since he does not want, he has no desire for any of the worldly activities, he will not get this human birth again. So that is the advantage of Upasana Phalam. Coming back to this Karmi means the one who does all the activities as per dharmic activities. For him, here the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, section 2:16, he says, I'm just quoting from the Brihadaranyaka. While those who win worlds through sacrifices, gifts, and tapas reach clear deity of smoke, Dhumo Ratris Tada, reach the deity of smoke. From him, he will be handed over, that deity will hand over to the fortnight, Devata, in which the moon wanes. From him, the 6 months during the Dakshinayana period, sun travels southward, and from them the world of Pitris, and from him the moon. Reach the moon. Reaching the moon, they become food, annam. There the gods eat, utilize those who have arrived there. Soma juice, they call it. They reach this very ether, spirit, and from ether, the air, the rain, the earth, and reaching the earth, they become food for all of us. Then they are again offered to fire of a male, then the fire of the woman. Then they were born for either to continue in this loka or for attaining better lokas, better other worlds. Thus, verily, they rotate those. I mean, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Otherwise, if they don't follow even this karmi, they will be, they do not know what are the ways, become insects, moths, and all these oft biting creatures. I mean, at a lower level. The choice is ours. That is what he says here. The choice is either we be a karmi or we be a upasaka. Upasaka is easy for us because meditation, we are doing meditation, but we are doing meditation on worldly objects. Not we want Bhagavan. So if you want Bhagavan, then you should concentrate on Bhagavan. Ananya Bhakti, that's what we discussed earlier. So the two people are Karmi, the other is Upasaka. Bhagavan also talked about, because Arjuna raised a question in chapter 6, what happens to the person who is a Karma Yogi? Karma Yogi means mind is purified, Chitta Shuddhi, and then he started studying Jnana Yoga, but because of the prarabdha, he has to give up his mortal body. What happens to him? Then Bhagavan said he becomes a Yoga Brashta. Yoga Brashta means whatever punyam we have earned in this birth, that will be carried forward to the next birth. And Krishna says that human birth is 100% for him, for that man, and he will be born in a family which gives him the facility to continue his journey from there to complete Jnana Yoga, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and he gets liberation. So that is the third category. The fourth category is, I don't believe in God. I have no faith. So what will happen to him after death? He will, according to Shankaracharya, in one of the discourses he has said, he will reach Adogati. That means all the lower lokas. Well, there are 7 upper lokas and 7 lower lokas. So he will attain the lower loka. Then the next is Jnani. Jnani is what? He has no desire. He knows that he is not the body, mind, intellect. He knows, so he is a Sarvajna, and he knows that God is pervading everywhere. And for him, there is no death at all. So the Upanishad says, for him, agati. Agati means there's no need for him to go anywhere. He is liberated already. That jnani is liberated, and he is called a Jivan Mukta. So we will see a lot of Jivan Muktas in our own image also. For example, Ramana Maharshi was a Jivan Mukta. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was a Jivan Mukta. So that means for them, because of the pending prarabdha karma, they have to exhaust the prarabdha karma. For that, they have this birth, this body. But whatever action they do, they know they are not doing the action. I am not doing anything. I am akarta, I am abhokta. He knows what is world. What are objects? He doesn't know what is objects. Even though he is amongst the objects, but he is not attached at all. He is totally detached. For him, there is no, after death, he will become Videha Mukti. So these are the various people for whom after death these things are happening. In the Shloka 24 and 25, we saw the two confusions. One is the time of death. And there he said the time is not actual number, our calendar time, it is the Devata, Kala Devata. So each Devata takes him from one place to another place, drops him in another place, like our relay race. You know, the baton, 4 people, 4 into 100 relay. So the first one takes the baton, he runs up to 100 meters, and then he hands it over to the next one. Again, he hands over to the third one, and then he hands over to the fourth one, and he finishes. So similarly, after death, there is one of the Upanishads, especially Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Panchagni Vidya. Panchagni. Panchagni means 5 Agnis. The roots are all going through these 5 Agnis. And the Agnis are, and we saw that Agni, Agni Jyoti, Agni first. And the spirit or ether from that Agni is transferred to clouds. And whereas in the case of all other people, the return path is there. Sakami, Kami, all these people. And Yoga Bhrashta, we have discussed, that he gets a human birth, and in the next birth, he is able to liberate himself. So, the Kala, the time, that he has explained it very clearly in sloka number 26. Shukla Krishne Gati Shete Jagataka Shashwate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Vrittim Anyaya Vartate Punaha. Shukla Krishna Gati root, Ete, these two roots, when the creation took place, it was there. Shashwate Mate. It is not the recent one, it was there earlier also. Ekaya Yati Anavrittim Anyaya Avartate Punaha. So he says, the time, it is not the time, it is the Devata. It is the how we conducted our life. Because everybody has got a way of life. We can spend it either in entertainment, or we can watching TVs, or we can spend in gossiping, or we can go on touring, traveling. That is all good. But they are all maybe the initial steps. But a day will come, maybe in the initial stage when we have got enough energy, we go after these things. But at the age of 70, 75, when our body limbs are not cooperating with us, then the only alternative available will be, at that time we may think, okay, let me turn back, let me go what is inside, what is Bhagavan. That's how the inquiry comes in. But not for all people. If they have some purva punyam, for them this facility will be available. These two parts of the world, the bright and the dark, are considered eternal by one. The jiva goes in the state of no return by other things. Sorry. So, Shukla Krishna Gati Shete Jagataka Shashwate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Vrittim Avartade Punaha. So with this, he has given the two roots. Now in the next shloka, 27th shloka, I am reading 27. Naite Sriti Partha Janan Yogi Mukhyati Kachana Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto. Whereas in the case of all other people, the return path is there. Sakami, Kami, all these people. And Yoga Bhrashta, we have discussed, that he gets a human birth, and in the next birth, he is able to liberate himself. So, the Kala, the time, that he has explained it very clearly in sloka number 26. Shukla Krishne Gati Shete Jagataka Shashwate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Anyaya Vartate Punaha. Shukla Krishna Gati root, Ete, these two roots, when the creation took place, it was there. Shashwate Mate. It is not the recent one, it was there earlier also. Ekaya Yati Anavrittim Anyaya Avartate Punaha. So he says, the time, it is not the time, it is the Devata. It is the how we conducted our life. Because everybody has got a way of life. We can spend it either in entertainment, or we can watching TVs, or we can spend in gossiping, or we can go on touring, traveling. That is all good. But they are all maybe the initial steps. But a day will come, maybe in the initial stage when we have got enough energy, we go after these things. But at the age of 70, 75, when our body limbs are not cooperating with us, then the only alternative available will be, at that time we may think, okay, let me turn back, let me go what is inside, what is Bhagavan. That's how the inquiry comes in. But not for all people. If they have some purva punyam, for them this facility will be available. These two parts of the world, the bright and the dark, are considered eternal by one. The jiva goes in the state of no return by other things. Sorry. So, Shukla Krishna Kadishyate Jagataka Shashwate Mate Ekaya Yatyana Vrittim Avartade Punaha. So, with this, he has given the two roots. Now, in the next sloka, 27th sloka, I am reading 27. Naite Sriti Partha Janan Yogi Mukhyati Kachana Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Abharjuna. Na Mukhyati Kachana Yogi Ete Smriti Partha Janan. Janan means he knows. He is an intelligent guy. He has two paths are available, and he does not want to go through any of these paths. And then for him, the advice is Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. So, in all the periods of time, my total attention is only with Bhagavan. See, whenever we go to a temple, the idol is installed in a place called Garbhagriha. And for that, there's only one door available. In all the temples, one door available. So if you're standing in the center of the door, you have two options. Either you can go inside or you can go outside. What is the meaning inside and outside? Outside means our mind is an extrovert mind. We are after worldly objects. We want to enjoy the worldly objects. But Bhagavan says, it's free for you to go. You go whichever way you want to die. But that is called Ajnana Margam. Ajnana means ignorant way. The other is Jnana Margam. If you come inside and be with me, Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna, be with me, at that time you get liberation. That is Jnani. So these two, what you call as possibilities, both are available to us, but we prefer the external paths, extrovert path, because that gives us pleasure, some happiness. So we go after that. But here, when you go inside, inward, when you attain jnanam, you get full happiness. Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma. That means you are a totally secured person. You are a permanent happiness. There is no punarjanma. So the choice is ours. That is what he says. So the meaning of this is Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. That means there is on the sixth or seventh sloka, he has also talked about, he says there in that sloka, that was on sloka number 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya. Mam anusmara. Remember me all the time. Then what happens? Mayarpita manobuddhihi mame vaishyati asamshayaka. So you will reach me 100%. He almost gives a guarantee. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya. That means he is advising Arjuna, your duty as a Kshatriya is to fight, Yudhya. But at the same time, let your mind be merged with me. So that is what he talks about in this shloka also. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. More or less, the meanings are same for both. Now, in our day-to-day affair, if you look at it, we use maximum the body and the mind. All of us, we are all spending more time on the body and the mind. So whatever we care, we will keep it clean. Hello, Chekatri, please. Hello, Chekatri,
Yeah.
mute Vengo. Please mute Vengo. So what we love most, we will be keeping it very carefully. That is why we are keeping the body every now and then clean. If not for your sake, but for others' sake. If you don't take bath for 6, 7 days, what will happen to our body? So we keep it clean. What about the mind? Only I know my mind. Nobody else can see my mind. So we neglect the mind. That neglection of the mind is the result of our ajnana. Actually, mind is a key element for us because mind is, as I told you, it is a midway. You have a path for extrovert or introvert. Even in our day-to-day life, suppose I invite a guest in my house. At that time, what will I do is I will only entire house clean. But generally, what happens is that we invite people, that place we keep it clean. But the other place, the mind, we are not able, because nobody knows others' mind. My mind, nobody can know except myself. So if you see here, most of the mind is intellect. The Buddhi says, see, before sleeping in the night, the Buddhi says, tomorrow morning I should get up at 5:30. the Buddha continues sleeping. So there is no coordination between the mind and intellect. And again, the question is ahankara. Adhyasa in Sanskrit. Adhyasa. What is adhyasa? There is a rope. In semi-darkness, I see the rope as a snake. I see the rope as a snake. And then I start imagining that this rope is a poisonous one, a snake is a poisonous one, and it will bite me, and I will die. All these things, vikshepa, agitations start coming. How the agitations came? Because of ignorance. What is ignorance here? The ignorance is that I consider the rope as a snake. But if I have a torchlight and want to see the snake, the torchlight will show me only the rope, real, actual. There is no rope, no snake at all. This is called superimposing. Superimposing snake on rope. Rope is existing. Snake is not existing. And this is what we call as delusion, mithya. This is exactly happening between Atma and Anatma. So we have all got Atmas. But that Atma, what happens is, because of the ignorance, we thought this Atma is ahankaram, ego, my ego. There is no ego at all. Like this, there is no snake. Ego is not there. And the moment you have the ego, then what happens? That ego has borrowed his consciousness from that Atma. And ahankaram says, I am doing this, I am enjoying, I am suffering, I am dying. He has identification with the body, identification with the mind, identification with all the surroundings, identification with the world of objects, and all the suffering comes because of that. So now what is the remedy? So if I have the knowledge, jnanam, what is the jnanam? Atma jnanam, self-realization. So if you have self-realization, what will happen? This ajnanam will go away. Only method, you are already Atma, that you do not know today, because delusion Maya has covered it. So Maya has got two powers. One is covering power, the other is vikshepa, agitation power, projection power. It will project everything in the world. The world itself is a projection. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Only Brahma is Satyam. Jagat is Mithya. World is Mithya. But on that Mithya world, we go and play because of our ignorance. So what he says is, Tasmat Sarveshu Kareshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. So if you are all the time remembering Bhagavan, Yoga Yukta. Yukta means joining. Yoga means the mind. Mind joined with the Atma, he is a Yoga Yukta. So Tasmat Sarveshu Kareshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. This is a very valuable advice, not only for Arjuna, but for all of us. Because, today, most of our problems, everybody is going to every day, the next day, 1 year, 1 day is gone. That day is not going to come back. So like that, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years. But there is an ultimate. Because we are all finite bodies. We are not infinite. Whereas Bhagavan is infinite. Shashvatam. We are all ashashvatam. We are not permanent. We are only transitory here. So the idea is that we should spend our time while existing in this life, which is very short in the sense, it may be 100 years, it may be for 80 years or 90 years, because our limbs will be totally not available for us in full vigor, because it has a decay. Every item is decaying. So when we are quiet, active, sharp enough to understand these things, spend the time usefully in the memory, Anusmaranam, in the remembrance of Bhagavan by 24 by 7. So even at the time of death, that thought will come automatically. We don't have to do any effort. So that is what he says. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Now in the last sloka, that is 28th sloka, there was a small discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. This is in one of the discourses of Nuchur Venkataraman, he talked about this. He says, Krishna now asks with his mischievous smile, Dear Arjuna, did you hear all this? Did you listen to my advice? All this. Yes, Bhagavan, Arjuna said. How do you feel about it all? How do you feel about it all? And Arjuna says, I feel despondent, depressed. I do not wish to hear anything other than Atmajnanam, self-knowledge. So you can see now, the resoluteness of Arjuna. Yes, now keep quiet. Arjuna, Lord says, now keep quiet. Know that you have received this Brahma Vidya because of the tapas you have performed in innumerable lives. Do not forsake such an invaluable treasure and go after any other knowledge. Just keep quiet. Atma samstam manakritva na kinchidabi chintayet. This is Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter 25th sloka. And do not initiate any thoughts. In other words, here Bhagavan says, Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. Oh Arjuna, if you start thinking and getting carried away by the with the thoughts, you will get sucked into the complex maze of what they call metamorphosis. Hence, each time you detect your mind on the train of thought, instead of quietening it, bring it back to the self and make it still. So that means the valuable advice is that the mind will wander. That is the swabhava of the mind, nature of the mind. But it is for us to bring the mind back. Allow it to go, but consciously bring it back. That is how, the training has to be done. So now the last sloka of this chapter, 28. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punyapalam pratishtam atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. He is glorifying this upasana, meditation, glorifying upasana. How he is glorifying? The yogi who realizes this transcends the fruits of meritorious deeds associated with the study of the Vedas, yajnas, austerities, and charities, and reaches the supreme primordial abode. When we do Vedeshu means studying of Vedas. Or Veda chanting. Yajneshu, yagas, we do a lot of homas and all that. Tapaha, austerities, vratam. Daneshu, charities. Yat punya palam pradishtam. When you do all these things, we get punyam. Because they are all punya karmas. Karmi, punya karmas. But he says there is a superior punyam available ati eti, superior to the above, Tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upayiti chadyam. Again he says, you be a yogi. Again, the meaning of yoga we have talked about. He says, this seeker is an intelligent seeker. Intelligent seeker means he knows that worldly objects is not going to give me a permanent peace, and I have to renounce all this, and I should get attached to Bhagavan. 24/7, I have to get attached to Bhagavan. Only Bhagavan is the only one who can give me liberation. So that is an intelligent seeker. So what he says is, we have seen Upasana, Karmi, he does puja, he does dhanam, he does tapas, he does chanting, he does charities, then he gets some punyam, he goes to Swargaloka and he comes back. Because once the punyam is over, Chine punya matya lokam vishanti, that 9th chapter he will tell, that once the punyam is exhausted, he will come back. What will he get if he gets this yogi status, knowledge of Bhagavan? Param sthanam upayiti. Param sthanam upayiti. Param sthanam means, that is idam viditva yogi. By knowing this superior upasana activity, upasana, meditation, what he does is param sthanam, moksham. Param sthanam is moksham. Upayati means he gets it. Adyam, that is the highest goal. So a upasaka will get through krama mukti in Brahmaloka, the jnana margam, and then he gets moksham, liberation. So that is the ultimate result. All these 3 steps, Vedeshu, Yajneshu, Tapaschu Chaiva, Daneshu Yat Punya Palam Pradishtam. So we all have to start with somewhere. Straight away, from the first day, I cannot go and start meditation. No, because we have to prepare our mind. Mind has to be purified, Chitta Shuddhi. That Karmi has to do Karma Yoga. Yes, Karmi and Karma Yoga, they are doing the same action. But the Karma Yogi has got a change of attitude, bhava, that he says, I am doing everything for Bhagavan's sake. So that purifies his mind. So Karmi becomes Karma. That means you do Veda, Vedeshu, Yajneshu, Tapastu Chaiva, Daneshu Yat Punya Palam Pradishtam. So the result of these activities will give you Karma Yoga, mental attitude, that whatever action I am doing is for the sake of God, and whatever result I get is the prasadam from Bhagavan. So that is the Karma Yoga. And coupled with Upasana, Upasana means Chitta Ekagrata in Sanskrit they say, that is focused mind. Focused mind on what? Focusing on the Bhagavan, on the Lord. So Chitta Shuddhi plus focusing on the Lord gives him eligibility for Jnana Yoga. Then he can do Shravanam, Mananam, Nitidhyasanam, and he gets moksha. That's what he says. This is ultimate. This is a route map for all of us. So Vedeshu Yajneshu Tapattu Chaiva Daneshu Yat Punya Padam Pradishtam Atyeti Tat Sarvamidam Viditva Yogi Param Sthanam Upayiti Chadyam. We have to be very, very careful. If somebody is going to the temple here, do archana, do pujas, do homams, don't go and tell him that, please, this is not going to give you moksha. No, this is the step. Like, when I have to climb from ground floor to first floor, there are 10 steps. I cannot reach my leg on the 10th step in one jump. No, not possible. So you have got steps. 10 steps are there. So you have to cross over each step and then leave the previous step. That's how it has to go up. So that is what he says here. So a man who is worshipping right now, continuing some sort of practice, you encourage him. Don't discourage him. You encourage him. And finally you can tell him that, yes, along with this, you do upasana, dhyana. And along with upasana, again you get eligibility, then go to scriptures, study Bhagavad Gita, study Bhagavatam, study Ramayanam, study Upanishad. And that is a step. That is called krama steps, krama mukti. So that is the meaning of this particular thing. So idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti adhyam. So by krama mukti he attains moksha. So this chapter, 8th chapter, is a sort of a diversion from the importance of meditation. Is upasana has been highlighted in this chapter. So we all have to do meditation, but the meditation is not nama japa. You sit and say, I am going to recite 100,008 times of Ramanama or whatever it is. It's good, but you have to become a yogi. What is becoming a yogi? You have to you're doing this for the sake of God, not for you, not to get any concentration. If I do 1,008 times of Ramanama, my concentration will increase. Yes, it will increase, but that is not your lakshya. This is a sadhana, sadhyam. Sadhyam is moksha. Sadhana is japa. Sadhana is upasana. Sadhana is karma yoga. Sadhana is all the first four activities he has mentioned. Veda, Yajna, Tapaha, Dana. We cannot get overnight unless and until we have some punyam balance in our account from the previous janmas. If you got previous janmas, the param, the punyam, then that will be carried forward in this janma. That is yoga prashta, we call it. See, for example, Ramana Maharshi. Everybody will say Ramana Maharshi has not gone through any of this jnana yoga or karma yoga or anything. But he had done everything in the previous janma. That is why, straight away, because as a yoga prashta, he need not go through studies of Upanishads and all these activities. And he has never gone to any Padashala or anything. But it has come inbuilt in him. So there are exceptions, but exceptions are because of the Purva Panya balance. That's what we should do now. See, we may not, at least everybody should try to become a yoga prashta. Do good activities in this life. That means good activities means all the whatever is rituals have been told in the Karma Kanda of Upanishad, Vedanta, followed by Jnana Kanda. That is the final, ultimate goal. That will give you liberation, moksha. So this chapter 8 is mainly meant not to scare us that, you will die. We are all going to die. That is definite. But death, the fear of death is not required. Fear of death, that is the fear of death is the maximum trouble we are having. Oh, I will die. I have still to do so many activities. I have not completed this job, responsibility, that responsibility. Forget about that. Because first of all, you are not there. You are Bhagavan. As Bhagavan has nothing to do. He is Akarta, Abhokta. So that is why this second chapter, the first from the 11th, 12th shloka to 25th shloka, he has given a short summary of a jnani. Who is a jnani? Achotyan anvachochastvam pratyavadamscha bhashate gadasucha na anishochanti panditaha. A jnani does not worry about the body. The body will die. That's okay. So this is a chapter. Now, okay, at the end of every chapter, so the finally, what is our travel? Gati. Our gati is your travel is from yourself to yourself. Travel is from yourself to yourself. Make the mind abide in the heart. Make the mind abide in the heart. Convince the mind there is nothing out there. Jagat Mithya. Whatever is seen outside as the world is unreal. Mithya. It does not really exist. There is no becoming. There is no attainment. There is no achievement. There is no going and getting anything from outside. Whatever you are seeking is already within you. Chant Om and abide in your real nature. This is what the sloka says. Omityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mam Anusmaran. Om is Brahman. In one word, chant and reflect. At the end of each chapter, Krishna says a summary. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu, because this is a summary of Upanishad, Brahma Vidyaya, self-realization, self-knowledge, Yoga Shastra, Sri Krishnarjuna Sambade, Akshara Brahma Yogo Nama Ashtamodhyayaha. So this chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga, because in the third sloka, that word Aksharam has come, because Arjuna asked a question, and for that, on the third sloka, Krishna started Aksharam Brahma Paramam. That's why this is called Akshara Brahma Yoga. Every chapter has got a name like this. In the 7th chapter, we call it Jnana Vijnana Yoga. 6th chapter is called Dhyana Yoga. 1st chapter is called Vishada Yoga. So like that, every chapter, at least we should remember